afternoon. Here is the news on STEM Radio Vision. Elisha.
Music Studio.
First, the headlines. Federal government write-off 1.42 billion US dollars, 5.57 trillion naira NMPC debts. Politicians skimming over 600 billion naira in Rivers coffers. Wiki. How I was abducted, beaten and stripped in Benin, Obasheki's cousin. APC jittery by Accord sudden electoral popularity, Adeleke. Owa Obokun, bishops attend unveiling of Olaniran Olayinka's Elisha manor. Mares penalty takes Algeria through to last 16. China holds military drills around Taiwan as warning to separatist forces. Now the news in full. I am Chidima Abel. President Bola Tinubu has approved the cancellation of a substantial portion of the debts owed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to the Federation account, wiping off about 1.42 billion US dollars and 5.57 trillion naira after a reconciliation of records between both parties. This is contained in a document prepared by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission and presented at the November meeting of the Federation Account Allocation Committee. The report, titled Report of October 2025 Revenue Collection, presented at the Federation Account Allocation Committee meeting held on 18th November 2025, was obtained by the Punch on Sunday. It is disclosed that the presidency had now approved that most of those balances be removed from the Federation's book. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has alleged that politicians are now scheming to get a share of the 600 billion naira left in Rivers State coffers by the former sole administrator, Vice Admiral Ibok Etek Ibas, following the lifting of the 6 months emergency rule in the state. Wike made the allegation on Saturday evening when he met with members of the Rivers State House of Assembly at the legislative quarters along Abba Road, Port Harcourt, claiming that the disclosure of the funds had triggered the interest of politicians from within and outside the state. According to Wike, some prominent politicians recently visited Rivers State and met with Governor Similai Fubara were not motivated by the goodwill or political solidarity, but by the desire to access the 600 billion naira reportedly left behind by the sole administrator. The FCT minister said such politicians had adopted a pattern of publicly praising the governor who recently defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress, while privately angling for a share of the state's resources. Don Pedro Basheke, a cousin of former Edo State Governor Godwin Abasheke, has narrated how he was allegedly abducted, beaten and stripped by suspected assailants in Benin City, Edo State. Obasheke spoke in a video shared by Africa Independent Television on Sunday after it was reported that suspected thugs had stripped him naked and taken him to the Oba of Benin's palace. According to him, the incident occurred at about 11:30 a.m. on Sunday while he was playing football with members of the Owa All-Stars at Owa Primary School, Benin. He alleged that armed men stormed the field, abducted him and dragged him through several streets in the city under the claim that they were acting on the orders of the Oba of Benin's palace. Governor Demola Deleke of Osun State said the Accord Party has emerged as a formidable and popular platform as the 2026 elections approach. He claims that the All Progressives Congress (APC) is increasingly obsessed with attacking Accord due to its newfound electoral strength. Responding to his spokesperson, Olawale Rashid, to remarks by Wole Oke calling for the deregistration of the Accord Party, Adeleke said the lawmaker has become a laughingstock as he attempts to satisfy the interests of Mr. Gboyega Oyetola, former governor of Osun State. The governor lambasted Oke for advocating what he described as illegal measures, pointing out that the Accord Party has rapidly gained traction since its unveiling. He charged Oke to accept the repercussions of his political shift and the resultant isolation from his former constituents. In a dazzling celebration of tradition, faith and modern elegance, Nigeria's prominent leaders, traditional rulers and top professionals gathered in Osun State to dedicate Igadile Manor, the country home of Omoba Olaniran Samson Olayinka's family, situated in one of Ilesia's most obscure neighborhoods. The ceremony drew an illustrious array of guests, reflecting the stature of the Olayinka family. Among those in attendance were Oba Clement Adesuyi Hastro, Owa Obokun of Ijesha Land, retired Methodist Archbishop of Ilesia and Ibadan, Archbishop Ayo Ladigbolu, Anglican Bishop of the Church of Nigeria, Ilesia Anglican Communion, and former Vice Chancellor of Ajayi Crowther University, Bishop Professor Dakwo Ashaju, and Professor Idowu Olayinka, the elder brother of the celebrants and the 12th Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan. The unveiling of Igadile Manor celebrated not only a family home, but also a cultural landmark, blending architectural refinement with deep-rooted heritage. Guests admired the manor as a beacon of prestige, reflecting the fusion of tradition, faith, and modernity that defines Ilesia's social and professional elites. And now the sports scene. Algeria secured their place in the last 16 of the Africa Cup of Nations after Riyad Mahrez penalty gave them a 1-0 victory over Burkina Faso on Sunday. Captain Mahrez converted from the sports midway to the first half at the Moulay El Hassan Stadium in Rabat, and Algeria then head on to win bruising contest against a determined Burkina outfit. Algeria, African champions in 1990 and 2019, have the maximum 6 points after 2 games in Group A and are yet to concede a goal, with Vladimir Petkovic's side living up to their billing as one of the pre-tournament favorites. Burkina Faso and Sudan come next on 3 points each, but play each other in the final round of group games on Wednesday. That means Algeria are guaranteed a top 2 finish even if they lose their final outing against currently pointless Equatorial Guinea. And now on the foreign scene, China is holding military drills around Taiwan, simulating the seizure and blockade of the island's key areas as a warning against separatist forces. The Army, Navy, Air Force, and Rocket Force have been dispatched for the drills, which include 5 fire exercises, the Chinese military said. Codenamed Justice Mission 2025, the drills are taking place days after the U.S. announced the sale of one of its largest weapons packages to Taiwan, worth $11 billion. That move drew sharp protest from Beijing, which in turn sanctioned U.S. defense firms. Taiwan's push to ramp up its defense this year has also angered Beijing, which claims the self-ruled island as its territory. And now to end the news, here is a recap of our stories. We thought it that President Bola Tinubu has approved the cancellation of a substantial portion of the debts owed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to the Federation accounts. We also told you that the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has alleged that politicians are now scheming to get a share of the 600 billion naira left in River State coffers by the former sole administrator, Vice Admiral Ibok Etek Ebas. We also told you that that Don Pedro Basheke, a cousin of former Edo State Governor Godwin Obasheke, has narrated how he was allegedly abducted, beaten, and stripped by a suspected assailant in Benin City, Edo State. Governor Demola Adeleke of Osun State said their court party has emerged as a formidable and popular platform as the 2026 elections approach. We also told you that in a dazzling celebration of tradition, faith, and modern elegance, Nigeria's prominent leaders, traditional rulers, and top professionals gathered in Osun State to dedicate Igadele Mano, the country home of Omoba Olaneron Samson Olayinka's family.
Music Studio.
And on the sports scene, we told you that Algeria secured their place in the last 16 of the Africa Cup of Nations after Riyad Mahrez's penalty gave them a 1-0 victory over Burkina Faso on Sunday. Lastly, we told you that China is holding military drills around Taiwan, simulating the seizure and blockade of the island's key areas as a warning against separatist forces.
Music Studio.
That ends the news on Esteem Radio Vision in Elisha, Osun State. The news was edited by Afolabi Adenipekun and was brought to you by Chidima Abel. Thanks for listening. Good afternoon.